In the world of ride sharing, how a driver gets paid, well, it's everything, isn't it? Today, we're going to break down a pretty unique revenue model, one that promises to turn drivers into something more, business partners. Let's see how it all works.
And this is the core promise the entire model is built on. It's a real shift in perspective, right? The idea is you're not just a driver, you're positioned as an active partner who's sharing directly in the revenue you're helping to generate. Okay, revenue partner. It's a powerful term for sure. But what does it actually mean in practice? Let's get a clear, practical definition of what we're talking about here.
At its heart, it's really a partnership agreement. You, as the operator, get a share of the income from every single trip. But, and this is the absolute key detail, when that split happens is critical. It's only after specific costs are taken out. That predefined split is what makes this whole thing unique.
You know, the best way to really wrap your head around this is to just follow the money. So let's trace the journey of your earnings from a single trip, right from the moment a ride ends. So let's just imagine for a second that a total fare comes to a nice round number, exactly 1,000 South African Rand. This is our starting point, the gross revenue. But crucially, this is not the number that gets split. So, before the company even touches that 1,000 Rand, the very first deductions are for the costs that you, the operator, are handling directly just to keep the car on the road. And this breaks it down perfectly. We're talking about the obvious stuff like app commissions, your daily fuel, your airtime and data, and even the smaller things, like car washes or fixing a puncture. These are your direct costs, and they come right off the top. Okay, so after we take out all those direct operational costs from our 1,000 Rand fare, this is what we're left with. This 750 Rand, this is the number that will now be split between you and the company. And now we get to the heart of the model, the core revenue split. This is where that whole partnership idea really comes into play. So that 750 Rand is now divided up according to the 70-30 split. 30% of it, that's your share as the operator. The other 70% goes to the company. So what do these percentages actually represent? Well, your 30% is your direct earning from that fare. Pretty simple. The company's 70%, on the other hand, is meant to cover all of the larger indirect costs of running the entire operation. And that immediately brings up the big question, right? 70%, that sounds like a lot. So what is it actually being used for? And what's really interesting here is just the sheer scope of what the company's share covers. I mean, we're not just talking about office rent. This pays for the vehicle financing, the insurance, all the office admin and staff like HR and payroll, marketing, training, even security. These are the huge foundational costs that are needed to support the entire fleet of drivers. So, now that we've followed the money from a single fare, let's look at the really practical side of things. How and when you get paid, and what your career path could actually look like inside this system. All right, so getting your first paycheck works a little differently. You'll work for 4 weeks, and then there's an additional week for payroll processing. This initial 5-week wait is really just designed to give you some time to settle in and to build up a small financial buffer for any unexpected deductions like traffic fines. But after that first waiting period is over, things get way more predictable. You move to a really consistent payment schedule. You get paid every other Friday. And with a pay slip for every single cycle, the whole goal is to make the entire process as transparent as possible.
There's also a pretty clear path for you to progress. You start off with a 6-week probation period, then you move to a contract for up to 3 months. And after that, you become eligible for a permanent role.
In achieving that permanent status, that's the real goal here. It's kind of like the key that unlocks more financial incentives and opens the door to real long-term career growth within the company. So that brings us right back around to the crucial question. When you look at how the revenue split, how the costs are divided, and how the career path is all structured, is this a genuine partnership, or is it simply a more transparent way of defining a job? I suppose the answer to that really depends on which side of that 70-30 split you're on.